What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Talking Halos. I'm your host today, Jared Timms, and I'm joined alongside my co-host, my partner in crime, Nate Green. Nate, 'tis the season. Get out of here. I want to talk to you right now. We are joined by Angels beat writer for the LA Times, Sarah Valenzuela. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm doing good in my very nice and warm hotel room.
I'm going to say it again. I said it before and I'll say it now. I don't feel bad for you. You're from New York. You know what you're getting yourself into. I know it might be a little colder in Arizona, but you're from New York, and I can't feel bad for you. I'm just kidding. I do feel bad for you. I hope baseball weather gets a little bit better in Arizona for you guys. I don't feel bad for Sam. I'm gonna be honest. I don't feel bad for Sam though. So, with all that said, Nate, before I get to you, Sarah, throw everything out there where people can find you, the Twitter handle, where they can find your work, anything else.
Gotcha. Yeah. So Twitter and Instagram are both the same at Sarah_Isabel VEE. And you can find all my work at the LA Times, latimes.com.
It's a pretty sweet gig. Come on, LA Times, it's pretty good.
Yes,
Good,
it
so.
it does, kind of tip my ego that I work for the LA Times.
Oh, all right, man. Well, we're gonna have to keep your head a little bit smaller, than keep your head on your shoulders there with the ego. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Nate, how you doing? Did you find out if anybody else has won, or is Luis Renifo the only one that has won?
No, Brian Goodwin. I saw Brian Goodwin
There you go.
won his arm case, so we'll get into that later.
Oh, we might. Jeff Fletcher always gives it to me whenever I bring up arbitration stuff, and Taylor Blake Ward. So we'll leave it at that. So with that being said, everybody knows when we have guests on the show, we like to throw a little rapid fire at whoever came on. So Sarah, I'm going to throw you into the fire here a little bit, get you a little rapid fire going. Best baseball movie of all time.
Oh, Sandlot.
Good answer. Good answer.
Acceptable.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite. So acceptable. I'll take it. Favorite press box snack.
Cookies.
What was it?
Cookies.
Cookies. Another good one. 2 for 2 for me, Nate.
Specific cookie or
Yeah,
just any cookie
one?
in general?
Ooh, either the soft, chewy chocolate chip cookies or the ones with the M&Ms in it.
Okay.
2 for 2.
Sure.
Like it. Perfect. I don't know if you eat sunflower seeds, but favorite flavor seed.
Ooh, plain. I'm not much of a sunflower seed person.
That's fine. We'll take plain. That's acceptable. Better than dill pickle. Favorite Gatorade. Favorite color Gatorade. Or flavor,
Red.
whatever you call it. Red? I'll take it.
Honestly, I don't even know what the flavors are called. Just red.
Fruit punch is red. Orange is orange.
Orange is orange, yeah. Red. I'll take red. Red works. Red works. Did you play baseball or softball growing up?
Not, sadly.
Did you play any sports?
I played a bunch of random sports. I ran track and field. I played golf. I played tennis.
Those are all sports you need as an adult and not as a kid. So that's fine. I wish I played golf more as a kid, but now I just suck at golf. So there is that. Wow, what was I going to ask here next? Favorite interview you have done since becoming the beat writer for the LA Times for the Angels?
Oh, Brett Phillips was a fun person to interview. It was a group Zoom, but he was very animated, and it made it so exciting.
That's good. That doesn't surprise me at all. I remember watching a little bit of the interview, and yep, that does not surprise me at all. Anybody in particular you are excited to see or talk to this spring at spring training?
See or talk to this spring? Gio Urshela. So I actually, when I used to work for the New York Daily News, and he was on the I remember when he was sort of coming up with the Yankees, not coming up, but like he emerged with the Yankees, and I feel like as the backup Mets and Yankees writer at the time, I didn't actually get to talk to him very much. So just a person that I know you and I've seen you play, but I've never actually interacted with you that much. So that's one.
Well, kind of interesting side note question on this. What's the difference between, and kind of weird, but what's the difference between New York media and Anaheim media, I guess, or LA media? What's the big difference?
Well, the clubhouses in New York were both very crowded. There's just so many more reporters, and just media people in both of those clubhouses any given day. Most of the time at the Angels clubhouse, it's, me, Rhett, Fletch, Sam, and then there's a lot of the Japanese media, but they kind of mingle out to follow wherever Ohtani goes. So it's different in that it feels smaller in dynamic from the clubhouses in New York.
I kind of figured that was the answer, but yeah, that makes sense. I figured I'd ask since you have experience on both sides. So that's all I got rapid fire wise. Thank you for throwing out those answers. I know it wasn't crazy rapid fire, but we appreciate it. So with that being said, let's get on to some Angels talk here. You came on at a perfect time. We're just going to throw out an interview, but we have a good amount of Angels news here, which is actually really exciting besides, of course, spring training starting and all that fun stuff. Angels signed Matt Moore to a major league deal, 1 year, $7.5 million. Perry Minasian seems to love that number, or that number range for relievers. Nate, before I let you complain and do all that fun stuff, because I know you're going to complain.
You're already setting me up. Wow.
I am.
You're already going to have the people yelling at me before I say a word.
100%. I already know I'm going to set you up. That's fine. I'm going to let Sarah, what do you think of the signing? Do you think, good? I don't want to say good or bad, but I want your initial thoughts on the signing.
I mean, I feel like it has the potential to turn out to be really good. Truthfully, I didn't know that much about Matt Moore until today. He seems like a really nice person, and just his overall presence seems to fit in that clubhouse. I was intrigued very much by today when we spoke to him. He was talking about how transitioning into a reliever last year sort of helped him with his mindset and finding that sweet spot where he can pitch very well, and learn what the quality of his pitches is. So that intrigued me a lot, but I feel like just watching him more will help me settle in what my overall thoughts about it is. But for now, I'm kind of just could be good, could be meh, but I'm not really sure.
It's been like that with a lot of the Angels bullpen signings. It feels like in the past year, Tepera, and I don't think you weren't around last offseason, where you kind of came in mid-season with the LA Times, or were you around last? Yeah, you came in mid-season, so you didn't really get a huge feel of that, but it's kind of how it kind of felt. Like Tepera could be really good. He could have, been really bad, and we saw that last year with the Angels. Aaron Luke.
No, it was pretty obvious.
All right. You're on my list tonight, Nate. You're on my list.
I know. Ryan, and that's the goal. The goal is to always get on your list.
Go ahead then, Nate. Say your piece about Matt Moore. I like the signing. Go ahead and say.
Of course you do. You liked Ryan Tepera last year too, and we had the argument on here. There's a Twitter post on there somewhere about people saying who's going to be right, me or you. And at the end of the year, it is what it is. We just have to go at this. Otherwise, it's not fun if Jared and I don't yell at each other.
Welcome to our relationship here, Sarah.
No, so the Matt Moore signing, it's good because it can push Aaron Loop into a little bit different of a role, because Aaron Loop should not be pitching 8th inning crunch time role. That really should not be his role. Matt Moore can take that over. The one issue that I have with Matt Moore is the walks. And as a reliever, that is one thing that could absolutely kill an inning. You come in, you walk 2 guys, give up a double, and next thing you know, you've given up 2 runs. Where as a starter, you go 6 or 7, you walk 4 guys in your outing, and it's like, hey, you know what? You were able to get through it with maybe 1 or 2 runs. But as a reliever, you're only trying to get 3 outs, typically maybe 6 outs, and the walks are going to be an issue. If he can, and that's something that his career walk number is right around 4, and he was a 4.62 last year. So it's not like he got better. He just struck more guys out. So if he can continue the soft contact and continue to strike guys out, it could be a good signing. But I love how you always say the bullpen is volatile, and then we're going to go based off of 1 good year and be like, oh, yeah, it's going to be great. So it's just the inconsistency from me that kind of irritates me with you. Where you're like, oh, it's a volatile thing. You just signed whoever, but we signed a guy coming off a great year. Yeah, let's do it.
This isn't the bullpen that I would build. I'm going to be honest. Like, I would not spend this much money on a bullpen like Perry has, and that's just the way I am. I think that bullpens are volatile, and that's how, like, we saw it last year with bullpen. Like, Jimmy Herget might not be the same guy. It is what it is. He might have had a career year. With that being said, if you're going to go out and sign guys, go sign guys that have been good in the past and have been good this last year. I get scared signing guys from Texas because that's a place where now pitchers pitch a lot and pitch well. So I like the signing. I like Matt Moore. I've always liked Matt Moore. I think that he made some good adjustments last year, like you mentioned, Sarah. The adjustments to learning how to pitch in the bullpen and learning his actual pitches. We saw the curveball rate increase last year quite a bit. We saw the fastball rate go down a bit. It'll be interesting to see what the changeup brings into play this year as well, because that's actually not too bad of a pitch either. So like I said, I like all those. It's a very similar signing to Ryan Tepera, and hey, look weird, they got very similar money. And Nate, I know you hate that, so I'm gonna leave it at that. I like the signing.
Ryan Tepera so much that he was going to be like arguably an all-star type pitcher, and like the dude was lucky to make the roster, but it's fine.
That's fine. Nate,
Sorry.
No, you're good. Go ahead. This podcast, I was about to say, this podcast is about Sarah. This isn't about us.
It's not about us yelling at each other.
Yeah.
No, I was going to bring up that you mentioned the curveball. Matt actually brought it up today, and he just said it was something like the smallest tweak to his curveball. He changed where his thumb was on the ball, and that like made all the difference. And once he figured that out, it kind of helped with his confidence like the rest of the way. So
yeah, that was actually something I was going to actually ask you that next, if he talked about the curveball, because that's something that I noticed right away. You look at the 2021 stats compared to the 2022 stats, and spin increased, velocity increased as well on the curveball, which normally I guess you don't want to see, but it made it a sharper, better curveball, where in 2021 it was a bigger, loopier curveball. Knuckle curve, I guess, is what he technically throws. So that's actually really cool to hear, and why I kind of gave that fist bump, because go Jared on that one. That's kind of cool. But yeah, that's good to see that it was actually like a pit, like a just a finger movement and such like that. So something I was going to bring up. So Nate, count one for me on that one. You're welcome. With that being said, before we talk Shohei Ohtani, because before we talk Shohei Ohtani, because he did have the press conference, and I want to get Sarah's opinion on Shohei Ohtani and everything happening. What did you think of the Angels off season? Did you follow it very much? I mean, obviously writing for the LA Times, you probably followed it a little bit, but did you follow it enough to give us a good breakdown and how you felt with the Angels off season?
I thought they started off like pretty strong. I mean, they went and got Renfroe, and I thought that was good that they got Anderson, who everyone's kind of wondering whether he can continue that success from last year. I got a little bit confused when they signed Urshela and Brandon Drury, just because of how crowded that infield seems to be. Overall, I think both of those signings are really good. Just it addresses so much depth that they need. But I feel like my overall, I guess, outlook of how the offseason went was Perry is trying to make sure, I suppose, that all the places where there was not like solid major league talent, whenever someone wasn't there, someone will now be able to fill that spot and do it at the major league level, like in a level that they've played before. So I think it was good in terms of that. As far as the rest of the division remains to be seen. I feel like I asked at some point, either I think it was in winter meetings or another. We had so many Zooms with every player that they signed. So I can't remember which meeting it was with Perry, but I asked along the lines of like, is this like a shot for shot thing? Like, okay, the Rangers go out and sign this person. Next day, Angels have to sign this person. Mariners get this person. Next day, Angels have to get this person. So it wasn't a competition, but at the same time, it kind of felt like it was. So yeah, I'm just like I'm more of like a sit back and observe and see how it all goes kind of person. So I'm interested to see how it all fits together. There seems like what they have planned for all of these guys, with the exception of the outfield, which seems to be pretty like set. It's that infield that I'm interested to see like how everyone's going to continue moving about and moving around. And then also with like the no shift thing, how that also comes into play.
Yeah, and it's been a theme in the past couple of years. It's like, don't go get the best. You don't need to go get the best player, Perry or Billy or whoever was the GM at the time. Don't go get the best player. You need to go get the right players. And it felt like, Nate, I know you're not going to agree with me on this, but it felt like they kind of went and got the right players. They didn't go get the shortstop. They didn't go get the shortstop, which I know
which is the right player, but it's okay.
That's fine. I can't please you. I can never. They went and got the right players. With that being said, Nate actually leads me to a good question here for you, Sarah. What do you think they're going to do at shortstop?
I think it might be it's like if Andrew Velasquez like figures out his swing and can figure out like his address the issues from last year with his bat, I think he would be a really good person at that spot. I mean, they like he has his nickname for a reason. And then you also have David Fletcher, who's coming back from injury, and just when he came back from injury, like he seemed like a completely different person. Like it didn't look like he was hurting out there. So I think those two coming in might be viable options for shortstop. Renhefo has also bumped around from short and second, so he could also be a viable person. The one thing I'm kind of just trying to see is whether it'll be one person or multiple people. Phil Nevin mentioned the other day that he doesn't necessarily believe that shortstop needs to go to one person, that it can be platooned. So
fist bump all you want. Find me a team. Find me a team who wins, who does that. That's all I'm going to ask for. Find me that team who wins World Series and it competes every year, because I think the Dodgers do that, right? That's why they went and traded for Trey Turner, and that's why they went and traded for Manny Machado, because they want a guy to play shortstop all the time. Okay, but keep going. Sorry,
it's fair. I'm not going to disagree. You need a good shortstop. You need to build up the middle, and that's kind of where it is. I've always asked for like, this kind of platoon situation is like, can they win with 60 games from each guy at shortstop? Renifo, Fletcher, Velasquez, Soto, like, do they have enough options to go, be good at that position now? Because that seems like the position that they're lacking the most now, and a lot of teams are really good in. So that's where I stand on that, Sarah. If you need to know, So.
She doesn't care about your opinion.
No, I know. Nobody cares about my opinion. So with that being said, very interesting take. Like, not huge believers in Andrew Velasquez. Very, very good defender. Super good defender. The bat just doesn't play up enough for us. It'll be interesting to see, though. I'm very intrigued. That's like the one spot where I think all eyes are going to be on this offseason, or this spring training in particular. So with that being said, all eyes on another certain person, especially with the interview he had this afternoon with you guys, Shohei Ohtani. Tell us what you kind of took away from that, because you were in person there. You got to ask questions. I don't think you got a lot of answers, but there's now just a bunch of speculation out there because of nothing being said. So break it down for us. Let us know your thoughts on it.
I thought it was very him. I mean, he didn't react or answer any differently, any more different than he would have. So it was very on brand, so to speak. Honestly, every time we ask, like, are you going to stay? Do you want to stay? Is it enough for you to stay? We always get these same kind of like obvious answers. And at the end of it, I don't even know if it's someone that'll force his hand to be like, yes, I will stay. Yes, I will go. It might honestly, like, no matter what he chooses, it'll be a shock to everyone.
Yeah, no, that's the type of player, like, in general he is. It's the Mike Trout thing. Like when everybody was talking, like, should Mike Trout stay? Do they trade him? Is he going to sign an extension? Like, you can't trade him. just like Ohtani. You can't trade him or else it's Babe Ruth. It's that whole saga, like you traded away the best player of all time type of thing. You can't do that. If you don't extend him, everybody hates you, especially now that Artie is back in spending money, whatever everybody wants to say about that entire Artie situation. If Artie doesn't, go out and find a way to extend Ohtani, now he is even more the most hated person out there. Perry is then the most hated. Like honestly, it's kind of like a weird lose because it's extremely tough to build around Shohei Ohtani as well. 6-man rotation. You have a DH, just an actual DH. Like you can't put Trout there. Rendon can't take days off because Ohtani is that DH, 162 games out of the year. So it is. I find it fascinating. I really do, because it's the Mike Trout saga all over again. And they found a way to keep Mike Trout. So with that being said, what do you think he does, Sarah? I know I'm putting you on the spot here, but go ahead and scare Angels fans if you want, because there are quite a few that listen. What do you think Shohei Ohtani is going to do? Staying?
I am honestly not sure. My boss has asked me this, and if it makes sense at all, and this is me kind of just talking out my ASS. If the Angels make a very deep playoff run, I'm not talking like just to the ALCS, and I'm talking they make it all the way to the World Series, who's to say he's not going to just say, okay, well, we were so close, let's run it back. We did well with this group of guys. Maybe we can run it back and win, and he'll want to come back. And maybe even if they make a deep playoff run, he'll be like, nah, I still want to go somewhere else. I feel like there's just so much he does not say and doesn't let on about that I can't say for sure. I don't even know what my opinion is on it, whether he stays or goes.
That'll be the question. There's not going to be another storyline, to be honest, this entire season. Well, there'll probably be other storylines, but that is going to be the biggest storyline all, spring training, into the season, into next off season is,
what the trade deadline.
Into the trade deadline, into July, that storyline is going to be crazy. Like, are the Angels trading him? Where are the Angels at? Like, all eyes are
especially if the Angels sit in that normal spot where it's like, hey, they're like 6-7 games back of the last wild card spot, but they also have to jump 5 teams to get there. So are they going to make a run at this, or are they going to rebuild? And then, yeah, that's going to be, if they're sitting in that spot, we will not hear the end of the Ohtani saga for
a lot of 1 year,
You're going to be writing Ohtani trade rumors for weeks and weeks.
Congratulations, Sarah. Like you have so much to write about until July and into the off season though. So you're set.
It's funny because when I was working back in New York, I wrote some really small blog that I was just like, absolutely, Steve Cohen is going to get Shohei Ohtani to go to the Mets, and there's no doubt about it. And then I got to the Angels beat, and I was like, I have no idea what's happening. I don't know what he's doing.
Mm-hmm. We go back and forth on it all the time. It's like, if Steve Cohen, wants him, he'll go get him. But if any owner wants Shohei Ohtani, he'll go get him. It's worth the money. Not just on the field, but on, you basically, and it's going to sound weird, but you basically own Japan. Then he is Japan. As weird as that sounds, you already talked about it. The media, we've seen the pictures. How many media members follow Shohei Ohtani around? The advertising contracts you get out of him, there's just so much more that I think people don't see. So hey, fantastic answer. I like that answer, because I don't think anybody knows. I don't think he knows what he's going to do right now, to be honest. I think he just loves the game and he wants to go play the game. Nate, I know you say that, but I actually don't think he knows what he wants to do. I think he just wants to play the year and see what happens next, because he's going to get the money. It doesn't come down to money.
This is all I'm going to say. If he for sure wanted to stay, the contract would be done. If he's thinking about it, and usually if you're thinking this long into a 6-year contract, you're thinking this long, you're probably on. That's all I'm gonna say.
That's right.
If he wanted to stay, he would just straight up say, hey, here's my number. Can you beat it? Or can you meet it? And they'd be like, of course we can meet that, and be done with it.
That's right. That's fair. So Nate, you got anything else for Sarah before we let her and everybody else go?
No, you took my question when it came to what's her favorite interview that she's done this year, which was not on the the script, so that was interesting off
You
script.
you didn't get the script. We don't have a script anyway, so you're good. You're good. So
I know we don't have the script.
Sarah, go.
I can tell you if it helps. I don't even know if it's favorite interview, but the one where I was sort of put on the spot and I was just like, I want to go back to being a fly on the wall. It was when I is that end of the off season, the day that Ohtani almost had his no-hitter, and I kind of just pulled a question out of my head and I asked it the absolute wrong way, and it came out so stupid. What I wanted to ask was to Phil Nevin was, do you think that Shohei Ohtani can be the next pitcher to throw a perfect game? And what came out of my mouth instead was, how long do you think it'll be until what do you think he has the capacity to have a perfect game, or how long do you think it'll be until he throws a perfect game? Something that just didn't really make much sense. But then, because then he almost had the no-hitter after that, everyone was like looking at me and I was like, I
ask about it every time then, and then he'll almost throw a no-hitter every single time. So that's there it is, the key to success there. The key to success. So Sarah, thank you so much for jumping on and talking with us. I know it's late and you guys are running around all spring training in the cold weather of Arizona that I don't feel bad for you about, because you're so before we let you go, again, throw out the Twitter handles, Instagram handles, where everybody can find your work as well.
At Sarah_Isabel Veet for Twitter and Instagram. Sarah is spelled Sarah, and Isabel is spelled Isabel. And all my work is at LAtimes.com.
Guys, if you do not already, go follow her. Fantastic follow as well, especially this spring training. She's getting in there, getting down and dirty with all the camera work and all that came out kind of weird, so I apologize about that. Yeah, Nate, you can shake your head. I suck at the English, which is why I don't write. So I am not a writer, which is why I do marketing. So with all that being said, guys, thank you so much for listening. Have a great rest of your day.